Hey, I'm Rob Patz, and welcome to the Rob Patz Project. On today's edition, my new friend Nicole stops by. We're going to talk about Turning Point USA, her life, and how she got into politics and stuff like that. That's all to come on today's edition of the Rob Patz Project. Thank you so much for tuning in. And hey, why don't you call a friend and tell them to tune in also? Because I don't think they're going to want to miss today's edition of the show. We also want to thank one of our great sponsors, the folks at My Pillow. You know what? They've got some great savings right now. And if you use the promo code ATV, whether it's slippers or sheets or pillows, no matter what it is, they have a great selection of stuff over there at My Pillow. Just go to mypillow.com. Use the promo code ATV when you're checking out. And we appreciate it so very much. So, Nicole, do you wear slippers?
I do actually. I love slippers.
See, there's two camps, really. There's no in between. There's people like me, I wear slippers, and then there are folks that don't wear slippers. Like my wife, she walks around barefoot, doesn't wear slippers.
Mhm.
She has socks that she'll put on if it gets really cold, which it does here in Ohio. But no slippers. Now, I try to make my slippers last as long as possible. I think I'm cheap when it comes to that. So I try to get a year out of a pair of slippers, and the last pair failed miserably. And somehow they disappeared. And I said, "Honey, where did I put my slippers?" And she said, "They're in the garbage and they're gone." And I'm like, "They didn't even make it to like 9 months." And she said, "And they look terrible."
Oh,
And I said, "But they were still," but I didn't know.
suspicious.
Yeah, I was like, "They're gone." But I want to introduce my friend Nicole. Nicole works for Turning Point USA Faith, and I want people to get to know you. And first of all, I want them to get to know your last name because we're going to start there. Can you please
Yes.
tell everybody your last name so we don't have to do another take?
Yes. Well, Rob, thanks for having me on. And Herschberger, Nicole
Yes,
Herschberger, German and long.
German and long. Now you told me though you're Italian and Spanish.
Yes. Yep. My mom was actually born in Ecuador and moved to the
Very
United
cool.
States. Yeah, when she was young. And then my dad's Italian, and he grew up in
Ah,
right outside Brooklyn in Queens.
oh, very cool. So you
Mhm.
got the best of both worlds. So, like, what's the favorite dish that your mom made?
Wow. I don't have one, Rob. She's so talented. She can make anything with anything. Like her thing is
Good.
inventions. So she'll take whatever's in the fridge and she'll make the best meal you've ever had. But like the downside is she can never really recreate it. So it's
My
like,
mom used to say that. My dad would go, "This is awesome. This is incredible. Can we have this again?" And my mom would be like, "No, because I don't think we'll ever have this combo of things in the refrigerator again." So
exactly.
yes, I totally understand that. Totally. And my wife and I were talking about this because we figure we could survive on Italian and Mexican
Mm.
food like that we could do just every other night.
Oh
That
yeah.
would be perfect for us. So I'm jealous. And so I am going to ask you a question though. Do you like sauerkraut?
Okay. So sauerkraut on a hot dog I can get behind, maybe even on a hamburger, but that's it. Like I don't eat it as like a meal. No.
I've never eaten it on a hamburger. It's a cool idea. But I may have to try that. But see, I have a habit, and of course, for a lot of people, they don't know. My wife and I have only been married about 16 months. And one of the habits I brought to our marriage was that I like to eat sauerkraut raw, just like open the jar and eat it. Well, we're from the Midwest, so we have a refrigerator in our garage besides our main refrigerator. It's something we do here in the Midwest. It's in the garage, there's always a refrigerator. You know, you're in the Midwest if there's a garage in the refrigerator, a refrigerator in the garage, even. And that's where I go out and I have some stuff out there and I take a spoonful or a forkful. I usually use a fork because otherwise spoons it all slides off.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah. Then I have my
Wow.
sauerkraut. Yes.
That's where you spend most of your time is in your garage in your fridge eating sauerkraut.
That and I've got V8 juice out there. I just drink right from the bottle and just stuff like that, you know. People are going to come to my house and go, "I don't want any V8 juice." It's a joke. I don't really drink it out of the bottle. I'll just put my hand over it and here, you want some? Uh, hey, Nicole, tell everybody how you kind of got into politics and when did your interest really start?
Yeah, I think for me, I grew up in Pennsylvania. That's where I'm originally from, in the northeast part of the state, from the Poconos. And so I grew up in like the countryside. So I think I would say like my parents weren't really politically involved all that much, but for some reason I've always had an interest in student government, in politics, and so I think it started really in the fourth grade. From the last I can remember, I ran for student council president over my little small homeroom of 24 students, and
So
just
what was your campaign slogan?
oh my goodness, that's a hard one. Um, oh, I don't even remember. It was good though because I won. Oh, I
You won?
memorized my speech. It wasn't really like a slogan. It was, you would go up in front of the class and like present your speech. And I think I came in with a bunch of like, hey, this is my plan. Like I had a really good plan laid out, and I think I was the only one that memorized my speech. Everyone
See,
else
you
had
did.
like papers.
I gave candy.
Oh,
I was a bribe kind of
yeah.
guy. I
Okay,
went right away,
respect.
right to the bribe. I figured everybody in class got candy.
Good for
Got
you.
me
No, you went
elected.
right to it. Right to
Yeah.
the source.
Yeah, I got me elected. So hey, that was all that mattered. I did what I could.
Wow.
Uh, which there's a funny story to that later on, but we will not use it on air. That got me in trouble in high school and an incident with candy. So we won't go there. But so you went from kind of being interested in politics,
Mhm.
and then the interesting thing you did, you transitioned in college and decided you wanted to be an accountant.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. So um, I didn't like, it wasn't like a longing for me to be an accountant. I just knew I would have a job out of college.
I don't think anybody longs to be an accountant. There
Yeah.
might be. There's probably somebody out there, and he's emailing me right now going,
Yeah.
"Yes, I longed from first grade on. That was all I thought about." But
Yeah.
you're that one person. The rest of
Right.
us, yeah.
And so I knew I would have a stable job, good income, and specifically in public accounting, there's always a need for people because of the scary work hours and the workload that you get. So the turnover rate in public accounting is pretty high. So after graduating from Belmont University in Nashville, I was like, okay. I started in public accounting. Immediately was like, wow, I really hate this. Like this is not for me. But I struggled with the idea of going back to college and paying more money to a university that, I mean, I can talk so much on what I think about college institutions right now, but I will not. But yeah, chose to try and use my degree of accounting and politics, and lo and behold, I made this great connection with a professor that I had never met, and he knew someone who needed an accountant for the National Republican Congressional Committee in DC, and so I served as their budget manager and moved to DC shortly after.
So explain to everybody what that apparatus does in the government and how that works.
Yeah, so the NRCC is part of the Republican Party, the GOP at the federal level. So you've got the RNC, you've got the NRCC, and then the NRSC. So one of them focuses on presidential. The NRSC is the Senate, and then the NRCC is the congressional side. And so basically, what it is. From my perspective, it's basically a country club. And so each candidate that's elected to the Congress, if they so choose, they pay dues to the NRCC. And what it does, it gives them benefits for a number of different types of benefits. They can make calls there, they can have meetings with one another. They may or may not be sent on lavish golf trips to major country clubs. Who knows?
I
Um,
want that job.
yeah. And so, yeah, it's really just a country club where they all meet when they're in DC, and they gather together. But something else that the NRCC does a lot of as well is candidate recruiting. When each cycle comes around, they actually will fund candidates and recruit them to run for office, and they will pay for marketing ads, mailers, so whatever communication. Communication, like putting them on air, media press, things like that. So really they are, I would say, like, they monitor a lot of the Republican candidates that run for office. So they have and they make a lot of money. So they're very much involved in elections.
That's interesting. So you went from there
Mhm.
to your home state of
Yes.
Pennsylvania, and you helped with the campaign. Tell everybody about that.
Yes. So shortly after, I served on a statewide campaign. For anyone who knows Doug Mastriano, he was the Republican nominee. He was the governor nominee, the governor Republican nominee for Pennsylvania this past cycle. So he had actually endorsed Teddy Daniels, who was the candidate I worked for. He ran for lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania, but he lost in the primary. And so one of the reasons why I felt called to do that was because Teddy was not a GOP establishment guy. He was a staunching conservative, but he was a veteran and a police officer. And those are the types of people that I truly think we need in office and most accurately represent the American people.
Kind of a common sense guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
In a world that right now, politics wise, is full of people that I don't think they could even spell common sense, let alone have any of it. And it is. So did you ever get to meet Doug?
I did, yes, on several occasions. So
He
they were on the
kind of
campaign.
scares me. I got to be honest with you. There are very few men that scare me, and I think I would kind of like admit to anything. He'd probably go hello and grab my hand. And I'd be like, I did that. There was like fifth grade. I did that. You know,
Rob, I will say he is the most down to earth guy and godly man you will ever meet. Yeah, fantastic guy.
He seemed super cool.
Yeah.
From a distance. Again, I don't know him personally. I know him through friends, and I know him through what we see in social media, which isn't always true.
Right.
Unfortunately, social media only tells part of the story of our candidates. And unfortunately, so much of what goes on in politics is played out in social media. They take that 6-second clip of something and can wreck somebody's whole future. And
Right.
that's the sad part. That is sad. So then you went from doing that and you got to Turning Point USA Faith. Tell us how you
Yeah.
got there.
So from there, my husband and I, he's an audio engineer. And so the music industry, as everyone knows, had shut down because of COVID. He was actually fired from his current gig that he was on because he wouldn't get the vaccine. And so because of that, we waited it out, waited for all the bull crap to pass, right? Now you don't need a vaccine or a test to go outside the country. So anyway, we waited for that to pass. The music industry in Nashville was coming back. We had a desire to come back to Nashville. And so there was actually a position open with Turning Point, but it was actually with a new division, which is TPUSA Faith. And so I had no idea what that was, but it was lo and behold, it was a combination of faith and freedom, or faith and politics. And it was perfect because I didn't feel called to leave the political industry. But as a Christian, I was like, wow, like we need Christians in government. And so, it came together. I ended up getting the position. We moved back to Nashville. My husband's back in the music industry. And so, it was all the Lord. That's all I can say.
That's awesome, though. So tell us a little bit about the vision of your division of Turning Point USA. Tell us what you guys are trying to accomplish.
Yeah, so our mission is specifically to get Christians to put their faith into action. And so on a plainer level, what that means is we want Christians involved in our government. We want them to be informed citizens to talk about politics, but also culture issues, civil issues, and really start getting back into the public square, being the informed ecclesia, right, as the Bible talks about in modern America.
And I think that we as Christians, especially right now, and this is my opinion, we need to be more active than even before, because no matter which party you look at, there are people inside both sides that are fly against everything that we as Christians should stand for.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And so I think it's important. And how as with your organization, how can people get involved?
Yeah, so the best way really to get involved is if you are a Christian or a pastor or a member of a church. The best way is to really start implementing our resources. So how we go about getting Christians involved is we give the church free resources. And so we've paid all of these costs up front. Charlie has has spent a lot of money, but good intentional money behind these resources. And so we do biblical citizenship classes where it teaches, the history of America and the founding of our nation on biblical principles. So we open up scripture, we look through the history of America, and we know, hey, like our Constitution was actually influenced by biblical values, and we can prove that. So we've partnered. I know, right? Like what a crazy idea.
People's heads explode everywhere if this clip hits the internet.
I know, right? But I mean, listen, if people don't get that, it's because they're willfully blinded or they're ignorant or both. That's it. Because the facts are what they are. So
I think there are a lot of people out there that they deny this because if they admitted to it, it would make everything that they do uncomfortable.
Right. That's so good. Yeah. They're convicted. They're uncomfortable. Yeah. And so that's one of the resources, but really my favorite part and my favorite resource that we share with these churches is, okay, let's start a faith group. Let's start a faith hub. And so what that is basically, it's the putting the faith into action element of what we do as an organization, where we get Christians in a room, in a group together, and we say, hey, let's start actually demonstrating what it means to put faith into action. And so you can host your own events. We give you all of the materials to do that, and we help you fund the event. We give you a grant, we give you money to pay for a guest speaker, help you with venue costs, food if needed. And so we help fund the event for you, and you get access to our entire speaker network at TPUSA Faith. So we've got fantastic, theologians, pastors, public speakers, historians, you name it. And you've got access to that just by partnering with us. And so Rob, one of the things that I think is enticing for Christians is, hey, a lot of them say like, oh, we don't want to get involved in politics. Okay, great. Well, we're a nonpartisan organization. So we don't think a politician is going to fix our problems. We don't think that even a pastor is going to fix our problems. But hey, we know that Jesus Christ can. And so this is what we're founded on. And we don't back political candidates or, affiliated with any political party.
So if I was a pastor, which I'm not, and probably most people are thankful for that. But if I was a pastor, hypothetically, and I wanted to get a hold of you guys, what structure, like what day of the week do you normally do these faith meetings? And like they may say, well, listen, we rent a building. Can we do it outside of a church facility? And they're going to ask all these questions.
Yeah. So what's great is we've designed faith groups and faith hubs. So a faith group is it's affiliated with a specific church, or you can do a faith hub where just a group of Christians who want to start doing activism in their community, you can just form your own group, and that's called a faith hub. So you're not necessarily affiliated with the church, but with the county or the city that you're in. And that's so cool. And so you get the same benefits whether you're a faith group or a faith hub.
The word I love that you used, activism.
Yeah.
Because do you know what? I really believe, and this is my personal thing, and this is just, again, one of those things that over the last, few years, we've allowed others to have that word. And when it's then associated with Christians, it's almost looked upon or looked down upon. Oh, well, they're a Christian activist.
Yeah.
And so I think we need to reclaim that word. I think that we're as much into not just, I love the fact that you say it's, not just one candidate, but that we're into changing our country, because you think about the founding fathers and how they got together and the impact that they made on the world, not just on the United States, but the world with what they did. And we need people to stand up like that again. Yeah. We need, because they were very, like you said, they framed all of the beginnings of our country.
That's right.
With a biblical undertone to it. Yeah. It may not have been, they didn't have like footnotes of Bible scriptures are in there, but if you really read it and if you're honest with yourself, you'll realize that, that sounds kind of familiar, like something I've read somewhere before.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And you can do your own research on the founding fathers. And every single one of them, maybe except for Ben Franklin, maybe, but even he had a coming to Jesus moment. They were Bible believing evangelical Christians, and they were all in their 20s when they were part of the founding of this country.
I
So
think how radical that is,
yeah,
because
oh yeah,
somebody recently, I read an article and I don't know where it was from about that like the oldest was 40 or 42. I can't remember how old it was.
hmm
And I'm sitting there going, we have shied away from this as Christians.
yes,
And really, again, I hate to say this, but I think we've shied away for it for a whole generation. Like
oh
we have
yeah.
a whole group of people that they're like, "Oh no, I don't want to, I don't want to offend you. I don't want to, I don't want to offend anybody." Well, if you really look back on it, Jesus offended people.
Oh yeah. Well, the Bible in and of itself is offensive because it stands on one truth.
Yep.
And so the truth will divide 100%. And we know that. So yeah, so just going, yeah, it's so important for Christians. I think Christians more than ever have a higher calling than a politician or just someone who identifies as like a conservative.
Yep.
If you're a Christian, you are called biblically to be involved in politics. And this whole notion of separation of church and state and how, we have that. And number one, that's totally wrong, right? People don't even know where the separation of church and state came from. It was a letter by Thomas Jefferson, okay, explaining to the people and to the state. It was written specifically for the state to ensure that they were not going to have government overreach in determining how the church is to operate. And if anything, there's no way that you can have separation of government, of politics and Christianity, because they're intertwined together, right? Liberty was God's idea. And these men were Bible believing evangelical Christians. You can't
Mhm.
have one without the other. So,
Uh,
yes.
yeah, and that's the truth. Okay, question for you. I
Yeah.
was like, if as we get to know each other more, these are the kind of things I text to people. So we'll just pretend I'm texting you this. You can go out to coffee with two politicians in history. You can go out to coffee with them and
Mm.
hang out with them for a half hour, 45 minutes. Who are your two politicians?
Okay, so can they be dead or
Well,
do they have,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, in all time. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I should have put that on there. Yes, all
Um,
time.
so Ben Franklin would be one of them. I find his
Okay.
story so interesting. He was one of the ones who wasn't totally a Christian, but kind of like found God later in life. So I would love to talk to him. And the second one I think would be, oh wow, maybe Abraham Lincoln, maybe him, just to get his take on what real slavery actually looked like. I don't. I think it's been so twisted in today's day and age of racism and slavery and how we are nowhere near what we were, okay, under Abe Lincoln's time. So yeah, he'd be the second one.
See, Lincoln would be at my table, and the reason why is so many people, think of him just as the president, but don't realize how much he failed
Mm,
prior to that. I mean, I got to be honest. I read his story. I read this his one of the stories written about him, and I thought, you know what? I'd have given up. I'd have been done. I've been like, yeah, it's okay. I don't really want to be president. I don't really even want to run for office. I'm good. I'm going back into my log cabin.
you can have it. Oh my goodness, I love that.
Yes, but he knew, and I truly believe he had a calling for the time that he was called to be there as president.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty cool story. But I like your choice. You're the first person that I think I've ever asked that to that had Ben Franklin on there. So that's
Wow.
kind of cool. So see, you're kind of different. Hey, I want the people to be able to get a hold of your organization.
Yeah.
And let's say they're at a church, or maybe they're not a church. Maybe there are 4 or 5 people hanging out together that love politics and want to start one of these hubs. It's called a hub, right?
Yeah.
See, I'm getting this down. And how do they get a hold of your organization?
Yeah, so you can do one of two things. You can go on our website, which is tpfaith.com. So T as in Tom, P as in Peter, faith.com. And you can click the Get Involved button in the top right-hand corner of the website, put your info in, and then it'll automatically get directed to the representative in your local state. And so they will personally reach out to you and get you involved. The second thing is if you are located in Tennessee, so I'm the representative just for the state of Tennessee. So you can reach out to me personally if you're in Tennessee, or if you, I can connect you to the rep in your local state if you're not. But I'm all over social media. But I'll give out my email here, publicly. I don't mind. But so it's my first name, Nicole, Nicole, dot my last name. Ready? You're gonna want to write this down. HERSCHBERGER. So Nicole.Herschberger at tpfaith.com. And then I can help you get involved from there.
And plus, you guys have some cool events throughout the year
Oh my
with
goodness.
Turning Point.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Rob, we have some amazing things coming just to the state of Tennessee. Okay. And so we've got something new that we've started as an organization. We partnered with Sean Foyt from Let Us Worship, and we're doing, sorry, go ahead. What were you going to say?
He's so cool.
Yeah. Sean Foyt is pretty cool. And I know so many Christians have differing opinions of charismatic churches. And so it's not about that. I mean, this is just a worship night. Okay. So we're just all unifying the Christians to sing worship songs, but he's doing a Kingdom to Capital in partnership with TPUSA Faith. He's going to every single capital in the United States from now until the presidential election in 2024. And so that's coming to Tennessee. That's April 1st. That's happening at the Tennessee State Capitol. And you can find more information on that online. You can go to tpfaith.com, or you can do kingdomtocapitaltour.com, and that will give you all of the dates. I know if you go to Let Us Worship website, you can probably find it there. It'll give you all the dates of where and when those worship nights will be occurring in your state. But April 1st is the one in Nashville. And then we've got an exciting Pastor Summit in Nashville also. So Tennessee's the year for TPUSA Faith. So
that's cool.
Yes.
When is that? Cool. When is the Pastors Conference?
So the Pastors Summit is going to be May 24th through the 26th. And it's going to be at the Omni Hotel in Nashville, downtown Nashville. And so please come out if you're a pastor, if you're a Christian. We'd love to have you join us. We had ours in San Diego last year. We had over 300 pastors in attendance.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So we're expecting double that this year.
Oh, that's awesome. So they can get all that by going to what website?
So you can go to tpfaith.com.
Okay. And they can find that there. They can get a hold of you. Yeah. And I'm excited. And here's the thing. We haven't told our audience yet, but Nicole's going to become a regular on the network, different shows. We're going to talk politics. This time it was more about Turning Point USA Faith. But we're going to get into some politics stuff because we both are politic junkies and love that kind of stuff. So she's going to be guest on a couple of shows. We're super excited about that. She's going to become a regular. You're going to see Nicole all around the network over the next few months. And hey, I want to thank you again so much for being here and being on the Rob Patz Project. Give them the website one more time.
Sure. So our website is tpfaith.com.
That's it. It's just that easy. Thank you, my friend, for being with us. I appreciate you. Hey, and we want to again thank Mike Lindell and the great folks at MyPillow for being a part of what we're doing here on the Rob Patz Project. You can go to their website, mypillow.com, use the promo code ATV, and wow, there's some great discounts, including slippers. Nicole and I love those if you want to get us a gift. Or if you're thinking about sheets or pillows, whatever you want to get, go to mypillow.com, use the promo code ATV, and we will see you again next time right here on the Rob Patz Project.